What's up, my dudes? Got a little fender bender going on, bro. So, fenders can actually make you either faster or slower on MX Simulator, and this is one of those sort of things I've never seen anybody else talk about this. I've never seen any other, top YouTuber talk about this. Any of those dudes doing guides on MX Simulator, that type of shit. Never seen this anywhere else. This is kind of like the new controller type of guide. This is one of those things most people just wouldn't tell you this about MX Simulator, but I got to be the guy to come out here and inform you about it because it's super important. It's kind of one of those things you wouldn't think it'd be important, but it is. Like with the new controller, it's basically everything. Once you get into the pro racing, if you're riding with an old beat up, worn out controller that you've had for 10 decades, then it's going to make you ride like crap because it's loosened up everything. It's loosened up the thumbsticks, everything, bro. You don't want it loose, if you know what I'm saying, dog. So, but basically with the whole the fender thing, right? It's one of those things where like you wouldn't think of it because with most motocross games, pretty much every fender in the game is fairly similar, like as far as where it's placed in relation to the front wheel and where the hands are and all that type of crap. And with MX Simulator being one of those games that a lot of people play in first person, makes it a bit bigger of an ordeal. This does not really it's not a third person thing here at all. Like it's really not because we're talking about front fenders. So if you play in third person on this game, this doesn't apply to you whatsoever. This is just a first person playing kind of thing here. So I'm trying to kind of go in here and show you guys a couple little different fenders and stuff to get a bit of a idea on what I'm actually talking about. So it's one of those things, like I was saying, you just wouldn't think of it because in most motocross games like Reflex, the Fisher Monster Energy Supercross game, all those kind of games out there, the fenders are fairly similar in their placement, even though they could have completely different bikes like Takashi's, Yamasaki's, Hondas, all the different bikes in the game, even though the actual look of the fender can be a little bit different from bike to bike. In most games, they're still pretty much in the same standard position, but with MX Simulator, a lot of these bike models and graphics and all that are put like from completely user created stuff in the game. So it's just some random dude going in there and making this bike model and kind of putting it where he thinks it needs to go and making it the length that he thinks the fender should be, the width that he thinks the fender should be. So you're kind of running all off of just one man's opinion on where the fender should be. So you could see how that would create such a different gap in which fender is going to work better for you, which fender is going to feel better in the corners. There's certain fenders in this game I can't corner for shit with, and I can't tell you why, but it's just that way, and it's just the fender. It has nothing to do with the actual bike itself. You got to understand that. It's not the bike dyno or the speed of it or the stats on the bike or anything. This is strictly visual, the actual front fender aesthetic itself and the model itself and where it is. So like there's certain fenders that I just cannot ride with hardly at all. I mean, I can still go fairly fast with just about anything. Hell, you could put probably nothing in the front or whatever them crazy different bike model things they have in the game where it's like you're riding a horse or you're riding like crazy stuff like that. You could give me just about anything and I would do okay with it. But what I'm saying is to be at my maximum speed, maximum corner skill, all that kind of stuff, there's just certain bike front fenders that seem to do better for me than a lot of other ones out there. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's a big thing, man. Like if you'll go in there and kind of test this out, go to some different fenders, see what you can find with it. It doesn't hurt anything to do that. So it's just an important thing. I feel like with this Kawasaki fender right here, this is like a 2013 Andy Hack Kawasaki front fender. And this one right here, for whatever reason, just feels good to me. The placement of it, the width of the fender's not too wide. Sometimes when they get the width of it too wide, like that Husqvarna fender was, I'm about to sneeze. Woo, boy. Oh, okay, got that over with. Sometimes when they do like that newer kind of Husqvarna fender model that you saw there that I showed you before, that does have a bit of a too wide feeling to me for it. And when it's wide like that, it makes the cornering feel weird. It makes it feel like you're on a bigger bike. It makes it feel like you're on a wider bike, wider front fender. You don't feel like you can corner as sharp, kind of that Suzuki quick corner type of feeling to it, so it gives you a bit of a weird feeling. And some of them, they just feel weird just in general. It's like either the placement of them, they're not in the right position, they're not high enough above the front wheel, they're not good enough in relation to the handlebars, and it makes it feel weird when you're bouncing over roughness and you're jumping and doing all that kind of stuff. So I've always felt like this Kawasaki fender right here has felt really good to me. I feel like I can jump with it, feel like I can corner with it. Sometimes they can feel so weird where you'll jump something and it feels like you're like barely coming off the ground, or it feels like the fender's not moving as much as it should be. It stays way too stagnant. Sometimes it can create that feeling when you do that, sliding into mud, bro. Epic saves. But yeah, then there's that old school Attacker RMZ Suzuki model that I ran a lot. I really enjoyed that one. Felt like it was a really good placement bike model, front fender element to it. But yeah, man, it's something that's a lot more important than you would think, and I recommend a lot of you guys going in there and testing that out for yourself, seeing what you like the best, because everybody's different. Everybody's going to have their own opinion. Everybody's going to have their own favorite fender. But I would say that front fender, it's almost so important that it's like it should just about be like a setup thing. I know it's going to sound crazy, but it's to that level of importance. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's so important that you could almost consider it as important as just about any other setup thing out there, because it really is. It's where that front fender is. I mean, you can see right here, the Suzuki fender, how much like less you're actually seeing fender-wise than I was the Kawasaki, right? The Kawasaki almost feels like you're seeing, it's a little bit longer than this Suzuki fender right here, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So this Suzuki, you're not seeing as much fender because it's not quite as long of a fender as that Kawasaki fender was, and certain stuff like that. It can almost feel like you're giving yourself different first-person view settings in the game, right? Like with different fenders, it can almost feel like you're changing your first-person height and angle and all that type of crap. Sometimes it can feel like that just simply changing the front fender. So you can see where that makes a pretty massive difference in this game, just going in there and being able to change that. So anyways, I just wanted to come in here and make this more of a bigger deal, because a lot of people don't seem to understand that, but it's important. Same way with like having a new controller versus an old controller. This is just stuff that people don't seem to make guides on. It's not like a whoop guide or a jump guide or a corner guide this is just some of those little kind of special secret sauce, secret elements, certain things that you wouldn't really understand unless you played the game for a really long time. Like you just wouldn't get that just the fender, just the model itself can make such a big difference in the game. So that was my goal, man. Come out here and kind of let you guys know about it, make it into a bit more of a thing here, and just kind of tell you, just be aware of it, right? Just know to go in there and be able to find the right front fender for you, man. Sometimes it's going to be hard because you may be a diehard like Kawasaki fan or a diehard Yamaha fan, and you just don't feel good on those certain bike fenders in the game, certain models. But I will say this, don't just think that like just because this certain, like whatever kind of model, like let's just say it's a Yamaha front fender model, a really old one, don't just think just because that one feels like crap to you that a new Yamaha model is going to feel like crap to you, because that's not necessarily the truth. You could have a totally different front fender model creator, could be the same bike brand, but it could feel totally different, right? So like a 2011 YZ bike model could feel like crap in comparison to a 2018 Yamaha bike model. Get what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things, man. It's kind of a personal preference. Got to get in there. You got to test with it. Got to figure out what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Certain bike front fender models can feel like it makes the bike more stable but less movement. Feels like there's kind of, you can't see as much, but it feels a little bit more stable. It's so weird me saying this stuff because it's not actually anything physically changing on the bike. It's 100% just visual, but it makes such a big difference in a first-person camera because it's actually what your eyes are basing off of where your front wheel is, right? Just how in real life, that's where you see your front fender, that's where you're thinking the front wheel is. So it's just like in real life, if you were to go in there and let's just say bend your front fender to the left or something like that, you're not going to be able to ride as good because you don't know where your front wheel is. So it's the same sort of aspect and same sort of comparison as that is. It's the exact same difference, man. So either way, man, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. I'm going to keep doing these MX Simulator guides. Got a crap load more ideas for it. Got a lot more to try to help you guys out with. I love to go in here and make videos like this because it helps people. You know, it actually allows people to be better at the game, and that's what I want. I want people to enjoy the game and get the most out of this game that they can, because it's so much fun when you get to that point in the game. So that's my biggest goal with these guide videos for MX Simulator, is just simply to help you guys out, make you better at the game, make you faster. I want there to be more faster people in the game, more people potentially pro racing, more of a challenge to it. It grows the game overall. You know, you don't want to be stingy with your teachings of other people. You want to help people out because it helps the game in the long run, right? You don't want to be one of those guys that just like never wants to tell anybody how to play the game or any of the tricks to the game. Like, you want to help them in that sense. So that's something I've always tried to do, man. I always try to give you guys advice on it as the best I could from the way that I've learned the game and the certain things that I've done. So either way, appreciate you guys. It's been a lot of videos, man. We're going to keep on doing it. I'm never giving up, bro. Later, dudes.